Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition, a Monday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, where all jewelry purchases in June are 0% APR until 2030. The only diamond and jewelry partner of the Florida Gators. We'll have JC, we'll have Graham Hall talk about all these damn verbal commitments the Mighty Gators are getting. Seems like all these 5 stars, 4 stars, players from all over the country. So we'll get his thoughts on what's going on there. Got a lot to talk about today. We'll talk with JC about it on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. One of the best golf tournaments I ever witnessed.
Is that right? Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Oakmont Country Club. I don't know why they don't play every damn U.S. Open there. Hardest golf course in the world.
Yeah.
And it was fun to watch those jokers struggle.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really was. It got down to where, for me, somebody had to do something to separate themselves. And it really didn't happen until after J.J. Spawn made his 5th bogey. And after that, I don't think the guy had a mistake the entire rest of his round. He shot 40 on the front and 32 on the back. He bogeyed, I guess, 5 out of the first 6 holes.
He had the worst luck I've ever seen a golfer have.
But he hit a pin, and the ball went forever. It was amazing how far that ball went after it hit.
It went. He hit a. If people didn't see it, hole number 2, his approach shot on a par 4. He hit a little wedge in there. It bounced, hit the pin, and it probably would have been anywhere between no more than 5 feet for birdie. But it hits the pin, goes backwards, hits the slope. And he ended up being 49 yards from the hole, 49 yards. Then 2 holes later, he hits a rake and it shoots it into in the bunker. So look, it was fun to watch. That golf course is just incredible. The beauty, you know what made that golf, JC, we talk about it on this show nonstop. What is the problem for professional golfers?
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, dealing out of the rough for sure.
Yes. And these guys have tight fairways on a lot of rough, and they struggle. And it's beautiful to watch.
It's almost it is a stroke penalty just about out of the rough. And every hole has it. I guess when Hovland stuck, this is what I knew he was going to win it when Hovland hit the shot on 18 behind Spawn. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of room to stick that golf ball behind JJ because he was so close to the fringe. And Hovland did. So it became a scramble putt off, and Hovland gave him everything he needed, and it went in. And I didn't think he was going to make it. I thought it was just going to be a nice little tap into putt and let's move on. But understand this, that was 66 some odd yards or feet.
64 feet, Jason,
feet,
not yards.
Feet. And yeah, right.
Yards, you'd be out in the middle of the fairway.
It was 64 feet. With a down and an up and a left to right, and it was a no-doubter. So this guy played the best golf in the world on the last 13 or some odd holes, and that's why he won. But now, Sam Burns had a bad break. I think terrible ruling. It was wrong. But having said that, he didn't play, as well as J.J. Spawn did on that last 10, 13 holes. It was a tremendous win for this man. This guy had a loss in sudden death just a few weeks ago. He's really not done a whole lot, and now he's set up for the next 5-10 years.
David says on Facebook Live, tune in golf, tuning out. We'll check back when y'all talk about sports and not an activity. David, you obviously don't know anything about sports because golf is the greatest sport in the world.
David's U.S. Open.
And I don't understand why people don't understand that, because it is I could go play JJ Spawn today and have a somewhat fair match due to handicapping. And that's the beauty about golf. A lot of people want to know our thoughts on Sam Burns. Look, Yeah,
bad break. It was terrible call.
That's golf. It's two people came over to officials. I guess there wasn't enough standing water. I don't know what to say.
That's nonsense. He got a bad ruling, but he didn't play as well. He didn't hit shots. He was off a little bit there at the end. I think that ruling shook him up. It was on 15. It was running late. And then, he had to play in the last group through these awful conditions, but it was the truest test you'll ever see of golf. I mean, it's very different than every other tournament these guys play in. And that's what you and I love so much about it, QB, is because it doesn't necessarily find the best golfer, but it finds the guy who plays the best in those conditions. And that's why it's called the National Freaking Championship. And that's why it's my favorite major.
Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellog. Gators win another. No, that ain't the one I wanted. Where did it go?
What did the Gators win?
They had a great weekend, but somebody on here asked something about where did it go? It disappeared. Anyway, somebody asked a question: is it fun watching a golf tournament when only one person is under par? Absolutely, it is.
I mean, I understand. I understand what he's saying. I mean,
I think maybe the person that doesn't play a lot of golf or doesn't really follow golf or enjoy golf wants to see a bunch of birdies and stuff. I don't.
No, if you gave me we both have said this over and over again. We're beating a dead horse here. We like to see them tested. We don't want to see 27 under par. That's not really a challenge. Some of these events on tour are just too simple. They let the golfers kind of bully them on how they want the course done so they can just load up the birdies. But if the USGA is going to set up a test that is unlike anything else on this entire tour, that is why it's my favorite major. It was my father's favorite major when he was alive. We always made sure that on Father's Day, the U.S. Open was our biggest thing to do. A lot of folks do other things on Father's Day. For me, it was watching the U.S. Open every single June of every single year. It's just what you grow up with and what you like. For the guy who said it's an activity, he clearly doesn't understand what sports is. It's competition. It's using your hands and your eyes. It's using things that other folks can't do as well as you to try to win something. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and it is absolutely a sport. If you're I had a tennis guy.
I think it's the hardest sport there is.
Well, Michael Jordan said that. You're going to go argue with him? But Paul Laporte, I said this guy's name. But there was a friend of mine who played tennis who said the same thing. He said, that's not a real sport. I said, what are you talking about? Why? Because you don't sweat like a pig? You're going to say it's not a real sport? Because you don't look like you're doing something in the Greek Olympics? It's not a real sport? It's 100,000% a real sport. It's doing something that other folks had trouble doing. It's trying to compete. It's everything about sports. You don't have to have great cardiovascular shape to do it, but
you do if you walk that damn.
But if you walk 7 miles every day for 4 days, swinging a club and using your brain and trying to make sure that you don't get taxed out. JJ Spawn had every single opportunity to tap out yesterday. If that's not sport, I don't know what is. That is exactly the definition of sport. He overcame the challenge method.
Did you hear about what
between ears?
Did you hear about what JJ Spawn had to go through the night before?
I did not hear that.
So his wife and kids were there.
Yes, I did see that.
His daughter was throwing up all night. So at 3 a.m., he had to go to CVS to get some medicine.
God.
And he goes and shoots a 40 on the front. Although that 40 was because of bad brakes. And then
no doubt.
It was phenomenal.
But it could have blown him up between the ears, QB. It could have done it. We've seen it so many times in the past that the guy leading after the third round shoots 78. How many times have we not seen that, QB?
Yeah. Who I don't have our picks, JC. Did any of us have any decent picks?
I
felt like Ben Griffin the highest.
Yes, the short answer is you did. I had absolute I had John Rahm. Okay, so I took John Rahm. He finished and posted the first +4 score. But my other guy, English, was awful. Neiman had no chance. Lowry was the worst golfer on the course, and DeChambeau just completely came unraveled. And that's the difference that I'm talking about. You can see Bryson get mentally frustrated where Spawn kept it under wraps. You, though, had Schauffele, who I think tied for 15th. You had Henley, who played very well.
He came in 10th.
And then you had Ben Griffin, who's been one of the best stories last month that we've ever seen in golf. I mean, when you consider what this guy's done, where he's come from, Ben Griffin has been a great player, and that was a great pick. I'd never thought had a chance. I did have a pick of JJ Spawn after the second day at plus 1250. That's 12.5 to 1. So that worked out for me pretty well. But sometimes you got to wait until after that first round before you throw a bet down. And if you do that, you won't get as good of odds as you would before the first round, but you'll still get pretty good odds. And he was your first round leader, and I got him at 1250 plus 1250 to 1. So I was happy about that. But we have other things happening. So you compare that to the NBA Finals, where here's the most ridiculous thing about the NBA Finals. We're playing Game 5 tonight. They won't play Game 6 until Friday.
That's so dumb.
It's just like I've completely lost interest. I don't even know who's. I know that they're playing. They're tied at 2, but you're going to give them 4 days off basically. And then tomorrow is hockey, where the Panthers, who went up to Edmonton the other night, beat the Oilers 5-2. Incredible. And they can win their second consecutive Stanley Cup championship on home ice, and do that tomorrow night in Sunrise. Do not have to go back to Edmonton and send Edmonton home. My son went to Edmonton, by the way, to watch Game 4. He said the Oiler fans were so inviting, so friendly, so nice. Not all Canadians hate Americans. That's a fact. And in Alberta, they were very nice to this kid wearing a red Matthew Tkachuk jersey. I said, you got to be kidding me. They're going to throw you in the back of a truck and dump you in Jasper National Park, and you're going to become bear food, Sam. And that was anything but the case. He had a lot of fun, had a lot of people.
Electronics World, integration design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support. Check them out, electronicsworld.net. We got JC. We'll have Graham Hall. He'll recap the
Graham Hall
recruiting. College World Series. Chanticleers. I'm telling you, they're the best team out there.
You called that pitching staff. Jesus, to shut Oregon State out like that was very impressive. That one pitcher, the kid who threw last night, Jacob somebody, 7 1/3, just total domination. I think if they get together with LSU in the finals, you're going to have an unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong. This little UCLA team is pesky. They somehow quietly just go about their business, but it's right now looking like Coastal Carolina. I think LSU is dominant, and I'm not quite ready to count out Arkansas. If you want to throw a long shot number on them, you can get it now. Get it now before they win tonight, and then maybe you'll have a chance to get a nice ticket.
Coastal. They're in the semifinals now. They have to be beaten twice to not make the championship series. I don't see that happening.
No, it's going to be a tall order. But are they in? Let's see. They're in Murray State's, and they're in
Oregon State,
and Louisville. No,
I don't know. You're the baseball.
UCLA.
Yeah, I think they walk. They're going to cakewalk to the finals. Cakewalk.
Don't jinx them, QB.
I'm not. I didn't jinx them by saying they were going to win it all in the first place.
Well, they haven't won it all yet, QB. They've won 2 games, and yes, you're right. Winning in that winner's bracket.
Speaking of the College World Series, I thought this was hilarious. I saw a tweet when all that nonsense was going on Saturday, right around the country. There were pictures from not Rosenblatt, whatever the damn stadium's called,
Field,
about those people walking across that bridge.
Yeah,
coming towards the stadium, knowing they had no idea what was going on. But the quote was like, these people have no idea that LSU and Arkansas are tailgating. They better turn around.
Yeah.
It was pretty I didn't
yeah. So today
exactly how it was phrased, but it was along those lines.
Well, speaking of those two, we get that side of the bracket tonight. I was wrong. UCLA is on that side. So Arkansas, Murray State, 2:00, followed by UCLA and LSU at 7:00. So yeah, it was Louisville, Arizona, Coastal Carolina, Oregon State. That Arizona team is eliminated. Louisville would then have to beat Coastal Carolina twice after they beat Oregon State. So they have to beat Oregon State and then Coastal twice. Tonight's games again: LSU, Louisville. I'm sorry, LSU, UCLA. Jeez, Arkansas, Murray State. Yeah, there you go. And then the basketball game, if you still care about that. I mean, it seems like it's been going on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they just drag it as dumb. Russell on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, good morning, fellas. Shane, we know how a certain part of Won't Back Down drives you nuts.
I'm not a fan.
After rewatching some games, I feel the same way about the money down gesture. They don't do that anymore, I don't think. the money down thing. That was back when
Why does that bother us for starting? You and I are the only two people in Florida, in Gainesville or in Gator country that just okay. I liked it for a while, but I don't
no, the won't back down song I'm okay with. It's when the student section does the ooh ah during the song or whatever the hell it is.
They're saying that's what it's got. That's what gets us.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Ooh and
it ruins the whole song to me. It's like
Petty didn't even like Gainesville. My God, he never showed up here. Maybe once he did. I don't know. But yeah, I get it. Now I've probably made 10,000 haters out there. But you like what you like, or you don't. Yeah, I tell you that I meant to say this College World Series thing is a thing. When LSU played Little Rock, I meant to say this the other day. They had over 5 million people create some sort of social impression after that game. It was the second most watched regional of all time, and it was the most watched game of all of the postseason was LSU and Little Rock, if you can believe that. Yeah, Coastal Carolina looks really good. LSU looks good. Those fan bases are going to be there for a while, I think. And folks that haven't come yet, they show up next weekend for the second weekend of this tournament. Team takes 12 days almost or something. So next weekend we'll have the final series.
Joey asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Law. He says, Shane, be honest. What would you shoot from the back tees at Oakmont? If I played the exact tees they played, I don't think I could break 140.
Yeah, me neither, for sure.
And I feel like I'm a pretty good player.
Well, you hit it.
What people don't realize is,
but it doesn't matter.
People don't realize that those guys had trouble hitting into the fairway. Okay.
Yeah.
So the average golfer that's a decent player is going to have trouble hitting in the fairway, and then they understand the lies and how to hit balls and lay up out of that stuff. It's
what, QB, the thing about this particular tournament at this particular golf course was, of course, it was redesigned. They took all the trees out, made it harder. But the last 5 wins in the US Open was -6, -10, -6, -6, -6. So
it's harder now.
If he doesn't. Yeah, and if he doesn't, last year it was -6, but if he doesn't make that putt, we have nobody under par.
Oh, I thought you meant the last scores at Oakmont.
No, the last winning scores of the U.S. Open. So
yeah, I'm telling you right now, those other courses, the U.S. Open's always hard. It ain't never been as hard as it was this at Oakmont.
Well, it'll be back
Not
there.
Even close.
I think it'll be back there in 2031 or 2. Yeah. So it's about 6 or 7 years it'll come back.
You think we'll still have a podcast going by then?
That depends on you, bro. Your sign is your name's on the sign outside. I don't know. I'm just amazed at how those guys. And then of course with the weather, the rain makes the rough even worse, right?
But it's I was listening to, or I saw on Twitter, I think it was JT was commenting. I guess he was sitting on his couch like we were watching. He said that course, if it had not rained at all,
yeah,
it would be almost impossible to play
because of the greens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they can do something with the greens. It's the rough that they just weren't going to touch. They weren't going to touch that rough.
Right.
But QB, that rough is a 1-stroke penalty, and I don't know if I like it. I mean, I liked that the rough was 5, 6 inches.
I loved it.
Maybe I want it more like 4 inches or 3, because I don't want it to seem like they're just out there hacking all day long. I don't mind seeing them struggle, but Shane Lowry was just spending the day hacking. And
here's what I like to tell people.
Hit it in the fairway.
Don't hit it in the rough. Okay. It's just like I have some people I play golf with, and they hit it like out of off the fairway into the trees, and they're bitching because they're on a route. Last time I checked, they don't plant trees in the middle of the fairway. Right?
Don't hit it there. Yeah.
Don't hit it there. Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Speaking of traditions, when Dr. Fox leaves, can we pursue getting Gator bait back? I'm 1,000% behind that.
Absolutely must. There has to be some elements of Florida tradition that comes back alive, and Gator bait was one of those. If Napier's going to truly be embraced by this community, not just win games, but how about promote some of the things that people grew up with here? And
I don't think Billy cares what the band plays.
I know, but does he care about how much does he care about working here? And I think it's a lot. It's got to be more than just $7 million worth. And I think he does what this job, and I think he wants to win. He wants to be thought of as some of the great coaches in the past. That's what he wants. And he wants to, maybe he even wants to stay here, because it seems like the longer you stay somewhere, the more it becomes home, right? Well, if he's there and he keeps winning, if he does start winning consistently, and, Gator fans want to bring back things like Gator Bait, all he's got to do is say, I endorse that. And guess what happens? It's back. So you say, well, the athletic director makes all these decisions, or the president. I guarantee you, if the football coach wants something like that, football coach is going to get it, because they're the ones paying him. And so I think
it was a president decision. It wasn't athletic.
It may have been. It could have been. It's that Fox guy that's here, and hopefully will be gone soon, and we'll get a new guy. But I think we need to bring back some of the old traditional Gator stuff. Work 'em silly Gators. I love that little flag that hangs over the wall there. I want some of that back.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. We're a proud member, Steve Spurrier Banks.
How bad would it be if they actually rolled out a 12-foot-long gator in a cage?
Be great.
And they rolled him out like Mike the Tiger. And they said, here's Albert, by the way, folks. There he is.
2019, back to the play at This Day in Sports. 2019 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, which ain't hard enough for them. They need to make that harder. Gary Woodland claimed his first major title with 3-stroke victory over defending champ Brooks Koepka. That's This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union.
He wasn't -1 that day. I'm sure he finished a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
But the only reason why JJ finished -1 is because of that putt. But he played just beautiful golf mentally and in any other fashion you can think of when it comes to golf those last 12, 13 holes. Good for him. 32 on the back nine. That gets you a win, dude.
Do you think JJ would have won a lot more money than his $4.3 million if he would have doubled on the back?
Well, yeah, he did. He was the best golfer at the most opportune time, most important time. And the drive he hit on 17 too, QB, driving the green. Oh. Just driving the green with a high cut left to right, like you and I like to hit it. And we don't hit it like that, but we do hit it left to right for some of us left to righters. And that was a beautiful thing to watch up the hill. Are you kidding me? With a blind shot. What a beautiful, beautiful round of golf that guy played. And I'm so happy he won, because he was, he keeps himself very low key out there on the golf course. I'm sure you like that about him, but he showed a lot of emotion finally there at the end, as he should have. And it was fun to watch. Even people who don't watch golf were in my house yesterday, and they were excited to see it, especially when that putt went in, and seeing the reaction that he had. And the funny thing was that there were still 3 golfers left to finish. Hovland still had to finish his putt, but then you had the 2 guys who collapsed there at the end in the fairway watching. So Scott and Burns. So that's done now. We've got one major left. It's the British Open. There's no way in the world you can match what we saw here. Hopefully it will be exciting to watch. We'll have an American win it. And that for me is the golf year. That's it. After the last major, it's kind of like the College World Series. I'm kind of done until football. That's it.
Text on the Titan Mark text line. I was thinking this same thing from Jim. He says, which PGA Tour player is going to come out publicly complaining about how hard the golf course was?
Well, Shane Lowry did. He said he's the F out of there after his.
I mean, he didn't play great. Did you see where Wyndham Clark tore up the locker room?
Oh, yeah. Wyndham Clark just went, he went Buffalo Bills linebacker in the locker room.
That's fine if you go ballistic at Ironwood Golf in their clubhouse. But you're talking about a historical facility to tear it up, man?
Yeah,
they're going to do something to him.
Well, I think he should pay for that. He should absolutely.
Well, I'm sure they're going to do that, but they may fine him or suspend him.
Well, something. Yeah, USGA doesn't like that kind of stuff. Nobody does. So I think you're right. So QB, we have basketball tonight. We have hockey tomorrow. We have.
So what are your Peachland Dental picks for tonight, Jason?
Give me OKC tonight. I don't care what the spread is; they'll cover. And I think hockey. And I hit the over 5.5 games for that series, so I'm kind of done with the betting there. But I would take OKC tonight. I think they win at 6, and I hope Indiana can pull it out. But I don't mind OKC winning. And then. That's a market we don't talk about. It's going to get a championship probably. And then we've got Florida. I really want the Panthers to do it to the Oilers again. All the media is on Edmonton because they're all in love with Connor McDavid, and rightfully so. He's the greatest player in the world, best player in the world, bar none, not even close. But they love Edmonton as if they were their hometown team. And it's because of that. I want Florida to do it. I think Brad Marchand has a great chance to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the MVP. Got a huge number on him at 8-1 to win it. So I'd love to see that happen as a former Bruin player who won it in 2011. Brad Marchand, great player. So that's what we got. Sam Bennett's the favorite to win that Conn Smythe right now, but Brad Marchand is right there behind him. And then College World Series, I'm going to watch every single game. I'm going to watch every single game, including the losers bracket. I can watch that stuff until the cows come home. It's one of my favorite events is the College World Series.
Yeah, so College World Series, you got 2 games tonight, or one today and one tonight.
No, they're both tonight. You got LSU.
No, I think one of them starts at like 2 or 3 o'clock.
2 o'clock is Arkansas Murray, and then at 7 you got UCLA and LSU.
That's not tonight. That's today.
Yeah, well, UCLA and LSU's tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Who's winning the Jello? Who's had most Jello?
LSU's way ahead. By the way, those cost $5. They go to that school's food bank. All the money and the proceeds. It's a great cause. It costs $5 per shot. LSU right now is already in the 14,000 range somewhere.
Let me guess. I've not seen this anywhere.
I saw a picture.
I would say out of all those teams there, the team that has the least amount of Jello shots would
that's easy.
Hang on. That's got to be UCLA. Do they have any fans at this game?
You're 100% right. It is UCLA. They have a couple hundred. Right now, that city is burning, and so UCLA is playing baseball though. And I got them
seriously. Do you think they have any fans out there other than parents?
No. I mean, again, it's Los Angeles. It's a foreign country. It's crazy. It's nutty. I don't understand that place and the way it's run, but UCLA is a good little school there, I guess. But they play in the worst baseball facility I've ever seen in my life for a major college Division I program. It reminds me of something in high school in Georgia or Mississippi or Alabama or maybe even in South Florida. But it is pathetic, and they don't put money in it. I don't know why, because it's one of the most expensive places on earth. But they just don't. So credit to the Bruin baseball team. They play great baseball. They play really, really solid, fundamental, good baseball. Very good pitching, well played. They're very good on defense, and they get timely hits. That game tonight with LSU will be worth watching. I highly endorse it. It's going to be good. But Coastal Carolina, you're so right. They've got major league pitchers up there just blowing heat. Oregon State can hit the baseball, and they were absolutely neutered by Coastal Carolina. That coach, it's amazing, isn't it? They won the national championship a couple of years ago with a different coach, and they're right there again with a new coach who could win it out of Conway, South Carolina.
I want to say it's his first. I think it's his first year.
It's amazing how good they play baseball there. It's a tiny place. Santa Fe College is the size of Coastal Carolina. Might even be bigger enrollment-wise. It is bigger. So it's a great story, and they play some damn good baseball there. And in the state of South Carolina, where there's not a whole lot of people, they've got a great program, and they could absolutely win through this again.
Yeah. All right, JC, have a good day. We'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, Graham Hall's next, everybody. Graham Hall. It's going to bring you
JC
all
joins in the taping hotline.
Recruiting news.
Comfort Temp. We'll take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll talk about the big weekend that the Mighty Gators had in recruiting. You're watching and listening to PodUp.
This will get them excited.
Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
This will get them excited.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Coach, you know what always impressed me? How you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Join our membership and see why Gators hate love bugs. Back to the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by 24/7 Sports Graham Hall. Good morning, Graham. What's going on, buddy?
Another beautiful day, man. Good to be here. Talk all things Florida with you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed watching the U.S. Open yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
What a putt, man, by Spawn.
I don't think I missed. I'm one of these guys, Graham, that watches as soon as the telecast comes on, I watch till the end of majors. I can't leave the house. I'm a nut. Gators tearing it up on the recruiting front. Tell us what happened this past weekend.
Yeah, this is Florida's last official visit weekend, and they certainly, once again, had double-digit prospects, a lot of guys who were on commit watch. And while they haven't got any commitments as of today, Monday morning, I think that'll change here pretty soon. They're in the mix for a couple guys who are making their decisions imminently. You could see a couple commitments by the end of today. A guy who's going to be able to see the field as an underclassman, maybe not as a freshman, given how tough it is to come in as a defensive lineman and be able to play from the jump. And that's not always a situation that you want to be in as a program and have to rely on first-year players. But this is someone who I think is going to rise up the rankings. I think that when we're going to look back and see that this is a gem, to get him in the class, it's a big commitment for Florida. You know, recent weeks, they've added guys like Caden Hall. They added a commitment from Carson Baker, a guy who was up at Florida State a couple days ago and then makes his way back to Florida, ends up committing on his official visit weekend this weekend in Gainesville. You know, I'm never going to be someone who's going to doubt Jabbar Jaluk's evaluations. I think that you look at his combination of size and speed. This is someone who has advanced speed for, you know, his age. I think he ran a 10.65 100-meter dash. This is someone who, you know, at 6'2", you get him in a college program and he's only going to further improve, right? This is someone who I think is just going to continue in the long line of successful additions in the backfield that Florida has added here in recent weeks. And you look how their class is shaping up right now, how they've risen up the rankings. I think it's really impressive. But this is not over yet. This was the last official visit weekend for the Florida Gators. I know that we're all used to talking about Friday Night Lights being in the end of July. That's not how the staff does things anymore with the current recruiting calendar. So this next weekend coming up is going to be the cookout weekend where they're going to have a bunch of unofficial visitors on campus. Maybe could have a couple official visitors. We'll have to see here from the names that we're hearing who've had to schedule their visit weekends. But from going from just, one commitment in Will Griffin a month ago to where they're sitting at now on the cusp of getting double-digit transfer or commitments in here into this class, it's a really good job by this recruiting staff, by the coaching staff as well. And it's only going to continue to grow. So they definitely have benefited over the last month. And like I said at the beginning, they're not done yet. So they're going to keep adding prospects in here. So, stay tuned. This is going to only continue to grow.
So Amy's question on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, says, Graham, do you think the Gators need to make the playoffs this season to secure many of these 4- and 5-star recruits?
I don't think they need to, but let's be quite honest. I've talked about this a lot. Are any Florida fans out there going to be happy with another 7-5, even an 8-4 season, just given all the talent that's on the roster, how the schedule sets up, at least in the beginning, a little bit more favorable to iron out some of those issues in the first couple of weeks against Long Island and USF. There's a lot of daunting, talented teams on Florida's schedule, and they're going to have to get some wins. Talk about going to LSU in week 3. That's a big test. An LSU team that you look at their roster, what they did in the transfer portal, getting Garrett Nussmeier back, a guy who passed for over 4,000 yards last year, and certainly has talented wide receivers around him, from Nick, guys that they've brought into the portal. This is a team that I think is going to actually contend for the college football playoff this year. I know that's not what Florida fans want to hear when it comes to LSU, but you look at just the talent that the Gators have to face, from LSU to Miami to Texas, then going to Texas A&M, obviously facing Georgia. Who knows what Tennessee's going to do, but you face them down the stretch. A Florida State team that you would have to think at least has to be a little bit better this season. It's going to be, tough going in a sense to win 9 games or more. But like I said, Florida fans are going to be expecting that they're going to continue to gradually improve under Billy Napier, and that given the talent on the roster, from returning DJ Lagway to Jake Slaughter, Caleb Banks, Tyreek Stapp, getting Devin Moore back and hopefully having a full healthy season from him, Cormani McLean being on the rise, all the talent that they have at the skill positions. I mean, this team should win 9 games or more, right? I know Vegas has them at 6.5. And if they can win 9 games with this schedule, to answer the question, I think that they're going to be on the cusp of making the college football playoff. It's going to be really close, and we're certainly going to have the conversation once again about a 3-loss SEC team, a 10, maybe 11 wins, and not as difficult of a conference. But if you win 9 games with Florida's schedule, and you finish strong, and you get wins over Tennessee and Florida State and end the year and have some momentum, you should be in the college football playoff conversation. And if they do that, given how they finished last season, when they were sitting there in the end of October and the losses had piled up and they had yet to go on that 4-game win streak, and they still were able to land some talented guys, how that class rose from in the 50s to finishing number 7 in 247 Sports' ranking. If they can do what they did last year and be on the cusp of the college football playoff, they're going to absolutely land some high 4-star guys, some 5-star guys potentially, may get in the mix before that. And keeping those guys in the fold is going to come down to how the season finishes. A lot of guys are committing here in July, and they always say things like, and I'm not trying to say anyone's out there fibbing or anything, but they always say, I've shut it down, I'm not going to pay attention. I mean, if you commit to a team that ends up falling far short of eternal expectations, there's going to be guys who open it up, because they're going to be hearing from teams like Georgia and Alabama and LSU, Miami. And if you're one of those teams that underperforms, those kids are going to have options. So finishing strong, making sure that you are in the college football playoff conversation, at least showing progress. I mean, if a couple things don't go according to plan, if injuries pile up, if you have issues there, you lose a couple really, really close nail-biter games, but you're still a competitive team, there's going to be some people who understand the context and they're forgiving. But you have to absolutely be competitive this year if you want to close strong on the recruiting trail. And Florida did that last year, and they're certainly going to need to do it again. We're trending momentum going.
So Gator Bob has a really long text here in the Titan More text line, so I'm going to paraphrase it. He's basically saying, I see guys around the country who are verbally committed to whatever school, and then you look around and they are visiting other schools with those uniforms and taking pictures. Graham, do you see any of these Gators that have committed to Florida doing that?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I, you know, I, I may have a different outlook, and I guess this comes down to security and being insecure about your guys in your class. But you don't necessarily want players who aren't going to be recruited by the top programs, right? Because that's kind of a red flag in my mind. If you land someone and no other top programs are showing interest, you either made a really, really good pitch and they want to focus on their senior season and lock in and they're happy where they are, or, they are probably a little bit underrated or overrated in a sense. You could sit there and be like, why are these other top programs not going after them? Are my guys not of the caliber that the top programs are pursuing? You could look at it two ways, absolutely. And Shane, I know you can relate to this far better than me, someone who, stopped playing sports in high school. So it's a once in a lifetime thing for a lot of these kids, and yeah, some of them are going to enter the portal and be re-recruited and have a chance to go through the visits again. But for a lot of them, you're hoping that this is their one opportunity to have the red carpet rolled out and be treated as if they are, a difference maker in a program, and have the coaching staff make their best pitch and be treated well. And these kids deserve that. You're going to try and bring kids in from other programs who are committed elsewhere and have them take photos in your team's colors. And you're going to feel good about that. And you're going to have some players who go elsewhere and enjoy everything on the visit, and let them do it, man. I mean, they've earned this moment. They've worked tirelessly for it. Knocking a kid or feeling some type of way about it is an easy way to get upset, because it happens everywhere. And if it's not happening to your team's prospects, you need to sit there and maybe get a little concerned and say, well, did we take some guys that the other Power 4 programs don't want? That's a little bit of a red flag in my mind. So let them do it. There's going to be guys who are wishy-washy and flip-flop and change their mind, because it's such a tough decision to make. And you ultimately hope that on early signing day, they're signing with your team, because there's going to be a lot of teams out there that are going to try and change their mind. And you got to hope that you continually recruit them. There's no coaching staff in the country that lands a prospect and sits there and says, all right, we're done with them. We got them in the fold. We're all good. We can touch base once a month. That's an easy way to lose that commitment. So you're going to have to, even after getting someone committed, continue to recruit them. And all the other programs are going to do the same. So if you don't like the photos of them in other jerseys, I got an easy solution for you. Just close the computer.
Yeah. And one thing you failed to mention that we know goes on is that kid may really like one school, but if another school offers a lot more money, he may be going there.
Money talks, and I don't think any of us can blame him for it, Yeah. So you got to be competitive in the NIL space, and you have to have a coaching staff that is okay, not going to feel some type of way about a kid visiting another program. You got to be secure in knowing that if that happens, I just have to keep making my pitch and try and, keep them in the fold.
Michael's question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. Are we filling our needs on recruiting, and what do we need to concentrate on?
Yeah, I think that there are certainly some positions that you'd like Florida to continue targeting, from, landing a wide receiver. They landed Marquez Daniel this past weekend, a guy who lives 20 minutes from Auburn, and he left his visit yesterday saying that he wasn't going to visit Auburn anymore. Now, I got to be quite honest, if that doesn't happen, that is massive for Florida. But being that close, you could take a wrong turn and misread your GPS and show up at Auburn's campus if you're him. So you're going to have to keep recruiting a guy like that in the fold and continue to go after wide receiver targets, offensive line targets. I think you're going to see some movement there on that front really, really soon. You got to keep adding pieces at tackle and interior offensive line. I do think that this is a coaching staff that is going to continue to target the secondary. That is just, given the depth there and wanting to add more talented corners is something that you're going to need to continue doing. So there are certainly some positions where Florida's going to need to continue identifying. Linebacker is one as well. Even though they have a ton of talented linebackers on this roster, you got to get a highly recruited one. So keep watching out for them. You know, they've targeted all the positions, and for those, it just comes down to landing their commitments now and keeping up the effort and making sure that you can stay competitive and be one of those teams there at the end or get them in the fold.
Yeah, I think the roster now is as good as it's ever been here in many, many years. And now it's like you take best available. You go recruit every damn position and see what happens. Barone71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, can you ask Graham if Florida's in the mix for Calvin Russell?
Yeah, 5-star wide receiver out of Miami. They had him on an official visit, I think, 3 weeks ago. And, you know, that's someone who keeping him away from Miami is going to be tough, right? I mean, initially he wasn't going to really prioritize staying home, but he's got connections to the Miami program. His mom was a standout women's basketball player at Miami. She's got a ton of ties there, but he actually had 2 uncles who played at Florida in the late 80s, early 90s. So he's got some Florida connections as well. The Gators are going to have to be competitive in this recruitment. All the in-state teams are going to have to be competitive in his recruitment, but, you know, a big body wide receiver. He's also interested in basketball, and, you know, one of the few things that works against the advantage of having a national championship winning program, you know, maybe there's more of a chance of, if he wants to try and be a dual sport athlete, it's far more likely at Miami. And so when he was at his official visit this past weekend in Miami, he also met with the basketball staff and Jai Lucas, you know, who played at Florida 15 years ago, the former Duke assistant who just became the head coach there at Miami. That's one of the things that the Miami program can offer him that is not something that Florida, from my knowledge, is an option in Gainesville. So maybe you end up missing out on a guy who wants to chase the dream of being a 2-sport athlete, as rare as that is in college athletics right now. You know, we see guys who, you know, play baseball and are football players, but playing basketball and football, man,
that's tough.
Yeah, very, very tough. So for Miami, they may have a little bit of an edge there along with the proximity, but Florida made a good impression on him. It's actually a really interesting recruitment because when we talked to him, he didn't really know his official visit schedule. He kind of knew the idea of teams talking to him, but his mom has been running his recruitment where she's been really keeping everything under wraps here, and at times even from him. So it's an interesting one. He's going to commit, from everything we've heard, in 3 weeks. First week of July, there's going to be a handful of guys who are Florida targets who are going to end up committing. You're not going to get them all. If you can get a couple of them, you did really, really well. And he's one certainly who Florida's going to try and work for in the next 3 weeks.
QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. A few more minutes here with Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports. Does a tremendous job covering the Gators. Ted's question, and we'll leave you with this one on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. What impact does the House settlement have on recruiting?
Oh, man, where do we begin? A massive one, right? I think that you look at how much athletics has changed in the last 15 years. I mean, in 2013-14, when the Florida athletics department operating budget went over $100 million, people were sitting there being like, this is crazy. Now it's over $200 million. And they're going to continue having to evolve and make changes to the structure of the athletic department to assess this and come up with more revenue streams, because the House versus NCAA settlement is going to give, it's going to make it so that athletic departments are going to allocate roughly $13 to $14 million per year towards revenue sharing and paying the current players, as well as back pay for athletes over a decade. So you're going to have, on top of NIL, which is still going to be a huge component. I mean, NIL, as much as some of these athletic departments want those donors to NIL to give the money now to the athletic department so they can pay them directly, NIL is going to be the icing on the cake in a lot of ways, where you're going to have so many teams that are paying, you know, these 9-figure sums in some cases, 8-figure sums in some cases to these football teams, where then on top you're going to have NIL come in, and you could start having It's going to make some people shocked, but 30 to 35 million, maybe $40 million rosters out there. A team like Ohio State that had that $23-24 million roster last year. Now on top of that, they're going to be able to, out of the athletic department, pay $14 million to their football players as well. And maybe NIL gets decreased a little bit, but if anything, it's just going to cause things to be even more exorbitant. So it is going to have a massive effect. This is the one that, and we'll see how this all plays out, but the impact on basketball as well, between football and men's basketball, probably 90% of that 20.5 million is going to go to those two sports combined. And if you're a team that is like Florida and they're competitive in football and basketball, you're going to need a lot of NIL to stay competitive in both. Because think about it this way. College basketball teams out there like Gonzaga, Marquette, even UConn, St. John's, Creighton, teams that don't have a football program. They're not, or they have a football program that's not one that's going to compete on the national stage. They're not giving $14 million to football. Where do you think that 70% is going? It's going to men's basketball. So teams like UConn and Gonzaga, they're going to start having $14 million going to their men's basketball program, or $12 million. And then on top of that, they're going to have $8-9 million NIL. So you're talking $20 million in basketball rosters. That's going to be tough for a lot of teams like Florida and the Alabamas and the Auburns of the world, who are really good at both sports, to be competitive. So it is going to have a massive effect. And that 20.5 million, that is just year one. That is going to continue to rise. It's a 10-year deal. So we're going to be sitting here in 30-25. Shane and I may be a little bit more gray. And we're going to be talking about, maybe these teams getting 70 million. Who knows what it is? So unless some checks come in or some changes happen in college athletics, these things are going to continue to rise. It's going to have a massive effect. The other thing with NIL, it may be a little bit tougher to have these competitive NIL deals. We'll have to see, because in the settlement, they're going to make a governing body that is going to monitor some of these NIL deals, which may keep them in check a little bit. We're going to have to see how it all plays out. I'm a little bit skeptical that they're going to be able to dial it down, because you've already opened the floodgates. And not to get political in any way, if we're relying on the government to put these things in check, we probably have a little bit of false hope. So it definitely is going to be impactful, and we're 2 weeks away from seeing it. But teams around the country, athletic departments, are already making swift changes to prepare for what is going to be another massive change in college athletics.
Graham, great stuff as always. Let everybody know how they can follow all your work, and got any specials going on?
247. We got a ton of recruiting coverage. We added Tyler Harden last month. He's been crushing it. Got a lot of team content as well. Got a lot of, it's off season, so we're doing lists, we're doing projections, predictions, all that fun stuff where you can come debate, tell me how dumb I am or how right I am. I always love to hear either one. We're running 50% off right now, so join us. We'd love to have you a part of the community, and I'm looking forward to being back real soon here, talking all things Florida with you. I am going to take a little bit of time off here. I'm finally going on my honeymoon. Shane, you're going to have to give me some advice. I'm going to Ireland. I'm hoping I have one day to play golf, but I may be in the doghouse if I'm gone for more than one day.
Just have her come along.
Yeah, she's a good caddy. I told her she'd have to drive on the left side of the cart path. So
that's right.
We'll see how it all goes down. I'll see if I have a chance to play out there even once, but I'm going to take a couple of days off at least and go to Ireland, awesome. Put my phone down for a little bit. And when I come back, you never know, Florida could have 10 more recruits, and then I'm going to be doing the catch up.
Good stuff, buddy. Have a great trip, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Y'all take care out there.
That's Graham Hall. Join us on the Tight No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Injuries occur whenever and however, and it's never convenient. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health OrthoCare makes it convenient for you 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome. That is UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.